All right, so today we're talking about photography basics. The first thing that I want to hit off with is ISO. Basically, what that is the sensitivity of your sensor. And how this works is the lower the number, the less sensitive it is to light. The higher the number, the more sensitive it is to light. Now you might be saying, bump that ISO up as high as it can go. That's actually the opposite of what you want to do. You want to keep that ISO as low as possible to get the cleanest images as you can. So here are a series of images ranging from ISO 100 all the way up as far as 6400. Now, as you can see, as the images progress, the noisier the images get. And this is what happens when you bump up the ISO too high. Now, some cameras can only go as far as 6400. Mine personally can go as far as 12,800. You'll have to refer to your user manual to find out exactly how high your ISO can go. All right, so the next thing that I want to talk about is aperture. Basically what aperture is it's the size of the opening in the lens. How this works in photography is it doesn't only control exposure, which I'll explain in a further video, but it controls your depth of field. What is depth of field? It's what's in focus in front and behind your subject. A lot of people get mistaken by how much blur there is in the background. That's not depth of field, that's actually called bokeh or bokeh, however you want to pronounce it. So basically how this works, aperture, it's written in f-stop numbers, ranging anywhere from potentially as low as 1.2 to as high as f32. The lower that number, the more light that gets into the lens. The higher that number, the less light that gets into the lens. So I'll go into further detail later on with that. What I want you to concentrate on now is the creative aspect of aperture. So going back to where I was talking about numbers being 1.2 or f32, how this affects your depth of field is the lower that number, the thinner the depth of field. So if you're focusing on a caterpillar at f1.2, only the caterpillar is going to be in focus. Everything else in front or behind that caterpillar is going to be completely blurred, or as we like to call it, bokeh. The higher that number, the more that's going to be in focus. So if you're taking a photo of a massive landscape, a big city, and you want everything from in front of your camera in focus to as far as your eyes can see, you're going to want a big number, something like f32. Now, if you go too far, you can actually lose sharpness. So you want to keep your aperture somewhere around f11 or f16. On the other side of the spectrum, if you're taking a photo of a person, for example, you don't want to shoot completely wide open because you lose some sharpness that way as well. You want to stop it down to about f2.8, f4 would be a good starting point. The last thing that I want to talk about is shutter speed. Basically what that is, it's how long the sensor is exposed to light for. So how long that curtain is open, that shutter curtain. This can range anywhere from as long as 30 seconds to as fast as 1/8,000th of a second, depending on the camera. Again, you will have to refer to your user manual to see how long you can set your shutter speed for, whether it's 30 seconds in total or 1/4000th of a second or 1/8000th of a second. So again, like previously stated, I'll go further into detail in another video. Right now, I want to focus mainly on the creative aspects of these settings. How shutter speed works in this situation is the slower the shutter speed, the more motion blur you have in your photos. So for example, if I'm doing jumping jacks, you'll get this blur in my arms and legs. Or if you're taking a photo of a waterfall, you'll get that nice silky smooth look to it. On the other side, the faster the shutter speed, the more you can freeze action. So if you're taking a picture of a waterfall, all the water will be frozen in action. Or if I'm taking a jumping jack, you will notice that my arms, my legs are frozen completely still in mid-air. This is good used for taking pictures of race cars, or if you're taking a picture of, for example, an airplane, you want to freeze the propellers. So examples of a slow shutter speed to achieve these types of images. For a waterfall, you might want to set it, for example, at a shutter speed of 1/4 to a full second to get that nice silky smooth look. If you're taking a picture of a race car, you might want to set it as fast as 1/1000th of a second just to freeze that action. So now you might be wondering, which do I set first in what scenario? Basically, I always try to set my ISO first and I try to keep it as low as possible so that way I can get the cleanest images. Next, personally, I choose aperture because I don't shoot a lot of fast moving sports where I'm going to need a fast shutter speed. I'm more concerned on aperture, so I like to have control of my depth of field, whether how much is in focus and how blurred the background is. The last thing I usually set is my shutter speed to make sure I got a fast enough shutter speed so I don't get blurry images because of a slow shutter speed, if that makes any sense to you at all. So that's it for today, guys. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell notification down below just to make sure you get notifications every time I post a video, and leave a comment, and I will see you guys in the next one.